Welcome back into another episode of Ben Talks Utah Hockey. We are going to be speaking about the Ducks versus Utah on the December 22nd matchup in Salt Lake City at the Delta Center on the first game of a back-to-back for Utah. Um, this game went. This game was wild. It definitely, the way it ended. We'll get into this game, but um, just kind of a crazy game tonight. So let's get into it. First period, we see Jackson Stauber get the net for Utah, and he's going to be facing Lucas Dostal on the other side for Anaheim. And so my prediction in the pregame episode was correct that Stauber was going to get this start um, for Utah. So we also see Dakota Mermis making his first start with Utah after being claimed off of waivers from Toronto. And he's playing on the third D pairing tonight in place of Kolya Chonak. Andre Turney coming into this game has a 4-3-3 record versus Anaheim in his tenure as a head coach. That dates back to the last couple years with Arizona. So let's get right into it. First period, Clayton Keller, he scores about a minute and 30 into the first period off of a shot from the point. Valimaki takes that shot, and it's also assisted by Hayton. And they had jump out to a hot start that they were looking for in this game. And then about 5 minutes in, Fabry for the Ducks, he scores on a turnover that it led to a 2-on-1 rush, and he puts one low blocker on Jackson Stauber, and they tie the game up at 1 early. So capitalizing on that mistake from Utah, McTavish gets the assists on the Fabry goal. Minutes later, Stauber sees another odd man rush. He stops Gauthier on a low pad save. And then Anaheim takes a hooking penalty halfway through the first on Gauthier, but Utah doesn't get much going on that power play. The Ducks are applying forechecking pressure in all zones in this first period, and Stenlin gets a look in close, but he hits the crossbar, trying to chip it over Dostal's shoulder. Later on, Utah gets a 3-on-1, and Radko Gudas makes a good defensive play to deny Clayton Keller. And shortly after, Anaheim takes a slashing penalty from McTavish, so he's going to the box. And then right after that, Cooley takes a penalty for Utah for touching the puck with his hand on the faceoff. You're not allowed to do that. He fell down, and the puck was still sitting there on the faceoff dot, and he kind of tried to hand pass it to one of his players. So it gives us a 4-on-4 for about 2 minutes. So during that 4-on-4, Barrett Hayton, he gets a goal assisted by Mata and Keller. So that's his first goal in 22 games. So it's good to see that for Hayton. We've been calling his name for assists a lot this year, but we haven't seen many goals since the first part of the season. So he's in on the first 2 goals, and it's good. It's good to see Hayton get on the score sheet again. So towards the end of the period, things are getting a little bit chippy, and I thought, just like I thought in the preview episode, this one was going to be a physical game, and Utah was really going to test the limits. Anaheim was going to test the limits of Utah with their physicality and defense. So, and it's proven so far after 1 period. Shots end up being 9-9 in the first, with a score of 2-1 for Utah. That brings us into the second period, where right off the bat, Strome for Anaheim, he takes a slashing penalty early, and he gets into the hands of Ian Cole, and that leads to a Logan Cooley goal. He snipes one off of a one-timer from Keller and Schmaltz to put Utah up 2 early in the second period. Big goal, big power play goal for Cooley. He stays hot. He's got 8 points in his last 8 games, 8 points in his last 6 games. So he keeps his little streak going. It's nice to see that for the young guy. But we will get into Cooley here a little bit later on in this game. So Keller then gets another goal. He buries one from the high slot for his 13th on the year and his second in the game. Fourth point of the night. So he's got 2 assists, 2 goals up to this point. And that one was assisted by Mikhail Sergachev and Nick Schmaltz. Utah then goes down on the penalty kill. They take a hooking penalty from McBain, but they kill it off nicely, and the PK remains solid up to this point. After that's killed off, Isaac Lundstrom scores for Anaheim on the 5 hole of Stauber. Shortly after that penalty gets killed off, Stauber lets another one in. So that brings it to 3-2. And Stenlund has hit the crossbar twice now. he gets another chance. He gets a crossbar, so he's hit the crossbar twice. He just can't get one to fall after he had a nice little goal streak there, and he's been putting the puck on the net, but he just can't seem to get one to fall as of late. And then towards the end of the second period, Kesselring takes another bad penalty on a hook in the defensive zone, but Utah does kill it off. He's been taking a bunch of bad penalties lately. I'm not liking the way he's been playing as of late, but I still like him as a player, but the bad penalties just got to stop. And that's, as we see in this next period, penalties play a huge role in this game, and it was really the story of the third period. So we're going to jump into the third now. Dakota Mermis, in his debut, he takes a tripping penalty early in the third penalty for Utah. Not great. And then almost immediately after that, Alexander Kerfoot takes a delay of game penalty, not on purpose, but he did whack one out of the air in the defensive zone. It ends up going over the glass. Referees confer about it for a minute, and they end up sending Kerfoot to the box. So it puts Utah down on a 5-on-3, but shortly into those 2 penalties, Carlson for Anaheim, he takes an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty for yelling at the official to bring it to a 4-on-3. So 3 penalties early in the third from both teams. It was a bad penalty by Carlson. You can't get caught jawing at the referee like that. As Dakota Mermis is sprung from the box after his penalty is served, he gets out and gets a breakaway pass from Sergachev, but he can't bury it on the backhand. Play gets turned around, and Fabry then takes a penalty for Anaheim on a call for hooking. So everything gets killed off, and then Fabry takes that penalty. So there's just been a ton of penalties here in the third period early. So Utah is up on the power play 5-on-4, but they kill it off. Utah gets a couple good looks, but can't get one to go. Anaheim, after that's killed off, Anaheim scores on a scrum in front of the net. Stauber kind of lost it in his pads, and it ends up trickling through the 5-hole to put Anaheim within 1 goal. So it's 4-3 right now, and Anaheim is definitely pressuring, and they're just putting a ton of pressure on Utah at this point. They're clawing back into this one any way they can with physical play and shots. So, and shortly thereafter, Cooley, he gets his second penalty on the night with a slash right in front of the net. It was a bad penalty to take right there, and they were playing him tough this entire game. They had a guy glued to him the entire game. They were just kind of trying to get at him, frustrate him a lot, and he retaliates on a poor decision and kind of gives him a whack, gives one of the Anaheim players a whack right in front of the net, and easy call for the ref. And Andre Turney ends up sitting Cooley for the rest of the game. So lines get kind of switched up. Sorry about that. Dogs thought something warranted a bark there, I guess. But Cooley ends up getting sat, and lines get switched up. They get mixed around a little bit, and you just see a little bit of frustration showing through for the young player in Cooley. And it's tough to see that, but I understand Andre Turney's decision that he made there to sit Cooley. I think it's important. I think they need him out there, but I also think he's still young. It's important for him to maybe learn a little bit of a lesson there to not take bad penalties. I mean, I think that's the first move I've seen this year where anybody's gotten sat, and it makes sense because Utah's been taking a ton of bad penalties as of late. So tough decision to make, but a decision that is made nonetheless. And then on that power play for Anaheim, Leeson scores, and it's tied up at 4 with 4 minutes and 44 seconds left. Lots of fours there, I know, but Anaheim ties it up, and that's part of the reason why Andre Turney sat Cooley. They capitalized on that penalty. So momentum at this point fully swung in the favor of Anaheim, and we see this one go to OT. There's some back and forth there at the end of the third, but nothing really happens, and we're going into overtime. So start of the overtime, Anaheim gets possession. It's back and forth. Ducks played it pretty cautiously throughout the overtime period. Utah had their chances. They got their looks, but no one can end up burying anything. Gunther and Schmaltz get a nice chance right at the end of the overtime period on a rush, but they can't get one to go. And this one heads into a shootout. So we're going to quickly fly through the shootout here. Schmaltz is up first for Utah. He misses. Terry then goes for Anaheim. He misses. Keller, he goes for Utah. He misses. He hits the crossbar. They sound the goal horn. They, whoever's managing that goal horn, they thought it went in. Crowd starts going nuts, and the officials were right on it. They were like waving it off as soon as the goal horn sounded. So no goal for Keller. We got 3 misses up to this point. McGinn for Anaheim. He goes. He misses. Bugstad goes for Utah. He misses. So we've got 5 misses in a row. And Anaheim with the decisive goal from McTavish right there at the end. He gets one to go against Stauber. And the Ducks win in a comeback fashion, 5-4 in an overtime shootout. Ducks falling to 16, 11, and 6 on the season. Ducks climb up to 13, 15, and 4. Dostal for the Ducks in net. He goes 21 of 25 with an 840 save percentage. And Stauber goes 26 of 30 for 867 percentage. So I think starting Stauber in this game was a good decision, but the kid's also sat for 2 weeks on the bench, and yes, he's getting work in practice, but it's tough. I mean, it's tough I think for a goaltender, just like Vejmelka, he's been playing almost every single game. He's kind of built that rhythm. He's been able to stay hot, and Stauber kind of comes into this one cold, and he looked good early, but as the game wore on, you could just tell he was a young player playing in only his 9th game in the NHL. So he gets a chance tonight. Doesn't make it happen for Utah, and I think you can chalk it up to a couple of mistakes from Utah and a couple bad penalties. Each team gets 1 power play goal, so Utah had 6 penalties tonight. Ducks had 5. Both teams capitalized with 1 power play goal apiece. Keller, he has a whale of a game. He gets 4 points, 2 goals, 2 assists. Hayton gets 2 points. He gets a goal and an assist, so it's good for Hayton, good for Keller. Good night for both of those guys, but you'd like to see the team get a win in that scenario, especially against a team like the Ducks. They're, 7th place in the Pacific, and, they're not really a playoff contender, and that's a team you'd like to put away. And it looked like my prediction in the preview show, it looked like early Utah was going to run away with that one. I was like, okay, if Utah gets up by 4 goals, they're probably going to put this, they've been learning how to put teams away. And tonight the Ducks just kind of climb back into that one, and they end up stealing the win in Utah, getting the 2 points. Utah does come away with a point, which which helps. It's better than 0 points. So it's crucial. It's crucial that they do get the point, but you'd like to see them at home get the 2 points. That's their fourth overtime loss, overtime slash shootout loss at home this year, and you'd really like to see that improve and them get the dub, but didn't happen tonight. A couple more thoughts here. Both teams really were showing that they could capitalize on the turnovers and mistakes in this game, and I thought Utah's defense really, they've been playing aggressive, a more aggressive style of defense, which is like they're pinching and they're taking chances with trying to keep the puck in the offensive zone, maybe more than they should. And I think that's going to come. Like they've got a couple veteran D guys, but they do have some young defensive players as well. And I think that that's going to come learned over time, kind of a deal. They 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 really just they make mistakes, and some nights they can get ahead of those and negate the mistakes, but tonight wasn't one of those nights. Some of the young defenders had a bad night, and you could definitely see that playing out in front of your eyes tonight. It was a little bit rough to watch at points. Looked good in the beginning, and then as the game went on, just got kind of rougher and rougher for Utah. Um, Utah did get goal production for Stauber, which I think is a key if he's gonna be on this roster until Ingram gets back, which is likely. Um, we're not sure when Ingram's coming back, but if Stauber does get another start, we'll see. We've got another back to back coming up here next week, so on the road. And I think Stauber will likely, if I don't think Ingram's going to be back by then. We haven't heard any news otherwise. So if Stauber gets another start, I do think it's important for Utah to get that goal production for him, just like they did tonight. But they do need to play a little bit better defense in front of him. He didn't have a great night. I'll be honest. He didn't have a great night. But he did. I thought he thought he did enough to keep Utah in that one, seeing 30 shots, getting 26 saves. But a couple of miscues and a couple of just bad looks from him. Not he just didn't play his angles correctly on a couple of them, and then missing that one that just kind of squeaked through his pads. He just lost it, and it literally just trickled in through his 5-hole, and tough break for him. But hopefully on the next one he can come back and play a little bit better and get a little bit more confidence going into the next game. So hopefully, like I said, we got that back-to-back next week on the road. So hopefully if he does get one of those starts, which is likely, we can have the goal production for him. So that's one of my thoughts. Cooley there at the end of the game, taking a bad penalty, and yeah, that penalty really cost him the game, honestly, and it showed. I mean, they panned over to him a couple of times on the bench, and you could just see the frustration on his face. Andre Turney sat him. He didn't go out the rest of the game after he got back to the bench after that penalty, and yeah, that's tough. This kid, he's one of my favorite players in the NHL this year, and out of all the teams, I follow all the teams, and he's up there. He's one of my favorites, and it's tough to see because he's a young kid. He's only 20, and the lights might be a little bit too bright for him sometimes, and Anaheim really pressured him. Like I said, they stuck a guy to him like glue all night, giving him the business, sticks here and there, all those little slashes and all those little elbows and jabs throughout the game, they add up. And, a young player who's off to a pretty hot start this year, we see that it gets to his head, and he retaliates on a play that he shouldn't. And, lesson learned, I think. I think he'll come back into the next game with his head screwed on a little bit tighter, and maybe I don't think we'll see those mental mistakes again. I think word's been out on Cooley. More teams are. He's got speed and skill, and guys are sticking to him. I mean, play defensive players are they see that, and wingers are trying to trap him up against the boards. Cooley goes down into the corners a bunch, and he plays a true two-way center role for Utah, and we're just seeing the league kind of catch on and try to give him less space. So he does get a power play goal tonight, so he does get on the board, but we're seeing teams give him less and less space as the year goes on. So I think look for that to continue against Dallas tomorrow night. But yeah, hopefully he can come back from this one, shake it off. It's just one game in a long string of games this season, and he's a young player. I think he'll be fine. I don't think it's a sign of more things to come. I think goal production and assist production is what's going to come from Cooley. So Utah, they go 5 for 6 on penalty kills. They have a decent night, but like I said, that one with Cooley at the end, they do end up capitalizing on, and that's the important one. Utah, on the other hand, they've got 9 power play goals over the last 7 games, all from that first power play line. So they've been producing well on the power play, getting power play goals every night when they need to. So last little thought here. Like I said earlier, Utah gets that overtime point. They don't get the 2. They do get the 1. You'd like to see him get 2 points there, but doesn't end up happening tonight. Kind of a disappointing loss. I think that one's going to hurt a little bit. Hopefully the guys can shake it off, come back tomorrow with fresh legs, get some rest tonight, and come back out with fresh legs. And I'll be honest, I don't like their chances tomorrow after playing in an overtime game, shootout, emotional loss. But hopefully they can come back out, completely shake off the night before, and come out strong against a good Stars team. The Stars are having a good season this year. They're looking like a playoff team, and yeah, tomorrow night's going to be a really important game and really important points on the line in the Central Division. So you can catch me tomorrow night. I will be posting a post-game review just like tonight. And then, yeah, I think we've got... I just did some social media posts today, and I'm blanking because it's late. But yeah, and we've got a back-to-back on the road. I think we've got a Canadian stretch up in Canada here. So look for Utah to bounce back and get a win tomorrow night. We'll see if they got it in them. I think this game, I'm gonna call it. It's gonna be a crucial learning and turning point for Utah. Does it turn in a negative direction or a positive direction? Yet to be seen. But this is the kind of loss that lets you know where your team is at and how you come out in the next game. Does this start a losing trend or a losing streak? We'll see. Or does it show what Utah is made of, and can they get it going in the next couple of games? Can they just shake this one off like, that happens. We're a good team. Having that thought like, we're a good team. Like, we don't even know how that happened. We're not going to let teams get in on us like that and climb back. We're going to put them away. So look for Utah to try to, again, I've said this before, I'll say it again. Look for them to try to learn how to win on a nightly basis, because it's gonna come in different fashions for them, whether it's scrapping one out in overtime or putting a team away early and often. We'll see. It's yet to be seen, and you don't like to see a loss like that on a night like tonight, but it ends up happening, and sometimes that's the way she goes. But I think that's probably going to wrap it up here for the night. I tried to be quick, but I ended up rambling there at the end. So um, thanks for sticking with it. I appreciate you listening. This has Ben Talks Utah Hockey. Please get involved on social media, like, subscribe to this podcast. It really helps me out. If you watch on YouTube, leave a comment. You can email me at bentalksutahhockey@gmail.com with a question or something you want to talk about. You can find me on X at bentalksutahhc, on Reddit at bentalksutahhc. I've been posting there a little bit now. It's hard. It's so hard to keep up with all the channels and all the social channels, but I think I'm doing an okay job. Just being one guy, just it's tough, but I'll keep doing my best. And if you comment or something, I will respond and maybe talk about it on a future episode. So, also one last thing before I go. I will be doing a Stars of the Week episode, probably dropping that one. I'm thinking it's going to probably drop. I'm going to do that on Christmas Eve or on Christmas Day. So look out for that. If you're hanging out with your family during the holidays, bring the whole family in, listen and enjoy. We're going to be doing a little Stars of the Week episode coming up here as well. So we'll have some more content coming out in the next couple of days. I appreciate you listening. Again, this is Ben Talks Utah Hockey, and we'll see you on the next one.